Hi, welcome to the Market Alert for Wednesday, the 24th of June 2020. So according to CNBC, there is a new wave of selling estimated to be in the billions that's about to hit the stock market. And this is, in a nutshell, where we're going to see, or what they're predicting, is there's going to be a big shift from the pension funds moving out of stocks and into bonds, having made gains from the March lows. So this will be an interesting one to see. They will be out by the end of the month, and as it says here, the amount of pension fund rebalancing is estimated in a wide range, with some estimates of 35 to 76 billion. And as Wells Fargo says here, it estimates the rebalance into bonds could be the largest in 6 years. So it will certainly have an impact on the market. So let's have a look at the DAX, and we'll start off with the daily chart. We'll get a bigger picture of things here. At the moment you can see that we're still all green in the MDI bars. We're still above the 200 bar moving average. We're hitting a bit of resistance on the upside. This happened yesterday morning around 9:45ish, where prices managed to get up to the 78% retracement, which is drawn from this high down to this low, and you can see how again it was a resistance for the market. Prices are up on the overnight. I'm just going to delete a few lines off here. Just this one was the sideways range that the market was in, so I'll just remove that just so you can see that prices are trying to break out once more, but again it needs to close above this 78% here. Yeah, let's have a look at what happened. So down in the 2-minute chart yesterday morning, the market opened fairly quietly. You can see we had some selling. We had a potential buy with the grey dot that failed to be filled. The selling continued, and then all of a sudden we see the buying coming into the market in 2 bars. We've got the first bar, the second one turning everything green, and then we get a potential buy. This one wasn't filled because we had a sell signal, and then this was followed by a new signal here. The only problem is this was a news item, and if you don't trade high impact items like I don't, you wait to see what the reaction is. This one shot off like a rocket, and prices moved sharply up to the BRN. If you're in it, then you did well. But high impact news items can go both ways, so you could be filled and then you could go down 100. This is something that we spoke about yesterday, because it was the German and French flash numbers that were released yesterday morning. 8:15 was the kickoff, and then 8:30 a.m. for the German. You can see they all came out positive, no surprise there, given that the economy was back on stream, having had the lockdown. So a bit of a shame really, because it was a really good trade, but it just took off like a rocket. But had you have been long on this market, then the stop out is when the market closes back below the 5 bar moving average. And you can see the selling pressure here. Volume is greater than the previous bar's volume, but the range of the bar is narrower, so the high to low is narrower, showing some pressure, i.e. in this case selling pressure. But this eventually removed and the market moved higher, and that's because if we go back to the daily chart, you will see prices were taking out the highs that we had here and heading up to this 78%. The second trade of the morning, if we can get back here to the 2-minute, was this one here. This one I took advantage of, but didn't get a lot out of it. In fact, it ended up coming out at break even, because the market just failed to break and drive anywhere near this BRN, which again ties in with what we were seeing at the 78% in the daily chart. And it was a case of coming out at break even. This signal wasn't there yesterday. This has appeared because of the historical data being corrected and then being shown in the chart. So I'll just show you this one in real time. So here you can see that prices had already traded up to the 78 in the daily chart, and I was looking and hoping that the market would break through this in the smaller time frame. So when the signal turned up, there you go, that's a close-up version of what I was just speaking about. So we've broken out of the sideways move that we've had in the DAX, and I thought, great, it's going to be one of those mornings where prices just continue, but that wasn't to be the case. So here, currently long on the trade, and then we're getting some potential weakness, and it happens to be at the BRN as well, which is a real pain. So I thought, well, I'll see. It's worth the risk just to see if the market will actually break, give it a bit of breathing space. But as I fast forward through this, you'll see what happened. So again, we can now get a second one, and you can see the selling here sort of wasn't alarm bells, but it certainly made me think, well, hang on, it's not breaking. We're at the scalp. There's only a few points on the table, but this isn't going to go unless they can shake it to the downside and then come back. They need to shake out the longs at this point. And again, you can see you're through the daily there. I go back and check the daily, and then I had to sit through this sideways bit with a bit of a loss, and then prices started to come back, and as they got back up towards the scalp, it was just a matter of saying, well, do you know what, this isn't going to do it. You can see if you were to measure the Fibonacci retracement from the low to the high, you can see that we're stuck here at 89% as well, and then of course out of the trade, and then prices move lower, and that's where they remained until, if we just come up to date, you'll see prices there. Let me just draw this in for you while I'm here. So from this high, I could see there was weakness down up to the 89% retracement there, and then we started to move south, and we could see the volume had dropped off as well. There was no buying to come into the market until we got to this point, and this is those that were actually managed to go short were buying back. But it took until, as you can see here, mid-morning, 11 o'clock, they brought the market back, and then they drove it through. And then you can see the selling that was hit there as well in this bar here, because that's where people that were still short, or traders that were short, got a bit of a hammering as well. So yeah, all in all, the morning session was an interesting one. It's a shame that the news moved so quickly through the initial signal, but that's part of trading, and like I say, it works both ways. You can miss a lot of points, but you can also lose a lot if it actually goes in the opposite direction. So in the afternoon, we just had the one trade, and the market again just sitting on that BRN before prices eventually broke to the downside. And the decision you've got to make here is, are prices going to reverse and then head back to the upside? We don't know. We never know. We have to make the decision based on the information we see at the time. The market had traded sideways for the last 2 or 3 bars. We come back towards the entry price, but eventually it got slammed to the downside. For me, this was just a straightforward scalp. It did break after, and had I have, or anybody that stayed in the trade, then you'd be pulling the trade at the close back above the 5-bar moving average. But it was a strange afternoon, very quiet afternoon. But then you see the market come back, retrace, and then move back to the upside as well, which it quite could have easily done off this BRN, which is not uncommon, as we see time and again. Okay, so that's it for this one. Let's have a quick look, see what news we've got today. There is no news today, so the market is free to move to the upside unless there is some selling that comes in. Overnight prices have moved lower and move back, so a bit of a sideways move going on there with the current picture of the German DAX. I'm just looking for the DP level and the 200 bar. We can see the 200 bar. Where's the DP level? So we are above the daily pivot and finding support at the 200 MA at the moment as well. Okay, that will do it for this one. If there is anything else to report, I will let you know, but otherwise, as ever, thanks for watching. See you in the next one.